Hello, today we're going to talk about an instrument called a guiro. Sometimes it's even written with the two little dots over top of the U, so guiro. The guiro is a Latin American instrument. It is actually most commonly associated with music of Cuba or Puerto Rico, but it does show up in other parts of South America as well as Central America and even parts of the United States. Now, some of us in school have seen the fish guiro as we're growing up. You'll even notice there's two holes in the bottom. That was actually for fingers, so they would put the fingers underneath and they're able to scrape with the stick over top. A lot of singers in Latin American groups would actually do that. They would put their fingers up there so they had somewhere to hold it and they would scrape it. So it would give them something to play while they were singing. So there's your fish guiro. This is actually a traditional guiro made from a gourd. So you've got the gourd with some indentations on it with a little scraper. I apologize putting this off the iPad. It does tend to have a glare, so I will try to get through these kind of quick. There are other versions of this as well throughout the world. This one's made out of metal. This is known as the guayo from Cuba, and this is actually the guira from the Dominican Republic. Here's one made out of wood from Colombia called the guacharaca. The guacharaca actually has a little space underneath on top of the indentations on top to scrape with. You'll notice they got these kind of scrapers like this made out of metal, but they could also use sticks, anything that was available to help scrape it. Sometimes even fingers on certain ones, as you'll see in a moment. This is known as the reco from Brazil, also known sometimes as the raspadar, which means the scraper, because raspa means to scrape. This particular instrument is actually called a quijada. It is the jawbone of a cow that they would scrape sticks across. Now, this particular version of a guiro, a scraper, comes from Louisiana, using zydeco music. As you can see, this is called a frotteur, also known as a washboard. It is based off of an actual washboard from America. But this, they would actually wear over top. It actually looks like a vest, so they could actually stick it over top, and they would scrape. They would either have thimbles on their fingers or some other way that they could scrape the instrument and kind of play, much like the instruments of the guiro. They could scrape it as they play. So it's based off the washboard, but the difference is with a real washboard, you've got a lot of grooves in there because it's supposed to scrape off dirt and stuff. And so that could rough up the fingers a little bit, or it could get things stuck in there if they're just using just their fingers. So this actually has a smoother kind of take on it, the frotteur. Now, the way these work, pretty simple. This is kind of a basic version of how a guiro works. My kids always think I'm saying weirdo because guiro. I just can't roll my R's very well. But you've got this kind of groove into the wood. This one's actually cut so that it actually has a little bit of space that helps it vibrate because you don't have the solid piece. It gives a little more movement. And then you just scrape across. So a lot of times the singers will be singing and they might be, or they might just be kind of scraping to the beat of the song or something. Okay, some kind of rhythm, much like when they play maracas or any kind of other instrument that they're able to perform. Now, just real quick, just to show you, this is actually known as a frog guiro, sometimes called a frog guiro rasp, which once again goes back to the word scrape. You might find these all sorts of places. A lot of people associate it with Hawaii. It's a Polynesian type instrument. I don't know if that's actually where it came from, but that's what a lot of people kind of associate it with. But when they would scrape this one, it's supposed to emulate the sound, or emulate meaning sound like, emulate the sound of a frog. So the frogs you might find in the jungles or the rainforest. And then, sometimes these sticks are kind of fairly ornate too, that they do with them. Okay. So there you go. A Guiro, which is a scraping percussion instrument, mostly found in Latin America. Thank you.